Amen, church. We continue with day 4 as we talk about prayer. Let's take a look at a parable and Christ's explanation on how it relates to prayer. Luke 18:1. Then Jesus told his disciples a parable to show them that they should always pray and not give up. He said, in a certain town there was a judge who neither feared God nor cared what people thought. And there was a widow in that town who kept coming to him with the plea, "Grant me justice against my adversary." For some time he refused, but finally he said to himself, "Even though I don't fear God or care about what people think, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will see that she gets justice, so that she won't eventually come and attack me." And the Lord said, "Listen to what the unjust judge says. And will not God bring about justice for his chosen ones who cry out to him day and night? Will he keep putting them off? I tell you, he will see that they get justice and quickly. However, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on the earth?" Whether it's justice we're seeking or something else, Jesus uses this example to show us the power of persistence. Too often, we call it quits before we see God respond. Although we live in a culture where we can have most things with 2-day delivery, God doesn't always answer our prayers right away. Sometimes, as I'm sure many of you have found out, God can take way longer than we prefer him to. And that's when we need to remember that he is God and we are not. His timing is perfect, even if it's not my timing. But we can't let ourselves get discouraged if we don't see anything soon enough. Praying with faith will cause you to have a persistence to keep praying. But when we stop praying, it's usually because we stop believing we'll receive. And sometimes we've got to pray the long game before we finally receive. To illustrate this with my life, let's just say I've spent most of my adult years waiting on the Lord to give me a wife. And I can tell you, this was one of my most frequent prayers. And to give you a long story short, it was more than a decade before I finally said those I do's. But I'm so glad that I trusted and waited on God for his provision and his timing. You might not know my wife, but let me tell you, she is the best. But there was good reason I had to wait so long. All that time I was praying, he was moving her from Venezuela to go to Peru so she could discover God and put her trust in Jesus and be discipled for a few years before she moved to the States, where I could finally meet her after all those years of prayer. And that's not mentioning what he had done in my life to prepare me for it. Looking back, it all makes sense. But while you're waiting on God for whatever you're praying for, it can be tough. But don't give up. Persistency demonstrates your faith in him, and that's exactly what he wants. So keep praying, Manna Church, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 5.